Hey everybody, welcome back to the Woodworking Wisdom Workshops here at Axminster Tools. My name's Craig, and apparently Christmas is coming. Colin's been talking about it since August, so I felt compelled to do something mildly Christmassy today. Look, I've even got my little wooden Christmas tree in the corner for you. So today's project is a Christmas candle arch, something like that. So a nice simple project. You can make it from one relatively small piece of wood with a bit of drilling, bit of cutting, bit of routing, gluing together, and a few screws for the candle cups. The descriptions and the links for all the bits and pieces that I'm using today are in the links below, so be sure to check those out if anything catches your eye, and be sure to have a go at this project as well. It's a nice little simple one. Could look great on the mantelpiece on Christmas Day, or even a gift for one of your loved ones. So let's have a close look at the project. So we're just going to hit up onto another camera. Here we are. So that's what we've got going on today. The Christmas candle arch. We're going to use a Forstner bit to create these quadrants to hold the candle cups. We got some nice, clean 45-degree cuts to take care of. And of course, a little bit of routing to put that extra bit of detail on there to make it special, unique, and just look nice. Of course, I've just slapped some finishing oil on this piece of tulip, but you could colour it. Why not use some of the Chromacraft gold effects to really make this this project look even more Christmassy than mine does? We sell the candle cups, as said, they're in the links below. So yeah, I think it's, for somebody that's not particularly Christmassy, I think it's quite a nice Christmassy looking object. So let's get started. Let's come back over to the bench and we'll look at what we've got to do today. We'll pop that out the way over there. So that's the bit of wood we're working today. I've chopped the end off. All right, the wood itself is 120 millimeters wide. This is optional. It's just the dimensions that I'm working to, and they work for me. 120 millimeters throughout. I've chopped this bit off at 110. That's going to form the two plinths or the 2 feet at a later date. Not a later date, later on in the video. This is the main piece that's going to form the arch, candle arch or candle bridge itself. This I've cut down to 296 mil. Now, you ain't going to be that precise with these dimensions, just the dimensions that work for me and what this project kind of ended up at. If this was 300 mil, a bit more common size, I know, it's fine, it's not a problem. But the dimensions, if we can stay overhead and just come in just that little bit closer on that. All right, hopefully you can kind of see that without it fuzzing out too much. We got 296. This is what I'm working at, okay? We've got 45-degree angles. That's going to be my number one job, cutting these angles first. And from those angles, it's actually going to give me a center line. This center line through the middle. Obviously 120. Your center line's going to be 60. But cutting those at 45 first is going to give me my center. And then I'm going to bring the pencil in and join the center lines up. And then mark out where I'm going to drill these holes. The holes are going to be drilled with a 50 mil Forstner bit. They'll be nice, clean holes without any cleaning up really needed. And we'll do that on the pillar drill. We'll come over to the pillar drill at a later date. Now, just the spacing is kind of worked out that from the tip there, from the point to the outer diameter of that first hole is 35 mil. That's just the way this one worked out. You can do whatever you want, whatever it works out. And centers are 90 mil. And I'm going to use my compass to mark off my 90 mils. As said, number one job is to cut my miters. So I'm going to head over to the miter saw first to cut those miters. So follow me over. Okay. So we're over to the miter saw now. You can see I've got it set at 45 degrees. I've got a little stop block that I've preset there. So I'm coming up against the fence, up against that positive stop. It's located in place. It's not going to move. If I was concerned, I would absolutely, definitely recommend bringing in a clamp to hold your workpiece in place. But this, I feel, is going to be rigid enough and it's going to stay where I need it to stay without moving. So let's just wind that clamp out the way for a moment and let's get cutting. So 45 degrees, first one. Oh, turn it on, always helps. So plunge down, push back. There we go. There's the first 45 cut. Flip it over, make sure there's no debris on the back fence, against the fence, against my stop, coming in, next 45. Wait for it to stop. Here we are. Remove. Flip over. 45. Flip over. 45. Okay. Job number one. We have kind of a pointy looking thing. All right, looks a bit strange right now, but I'm sure you're going to get it. But what I've got now is, because I worked on this positive stop and we're just flipping at a really precise 45, it's super clean, this cut as well. I'm using one of the Cut Pro blades on my Bosch Glide here, and wow, what a cut. No finishing, no real sanding, touching up needed. But importantly for this project, it gives me 2 points to join up as a center line. So that's where I'm going next. Back over to the bench, guys. Follow me over. Here we go. So we're going to go overhead on our bench. We'll move that out to the way. And there we have. You can see what I've got. So at this point, it's just a case of joining up very carefully these 2 points. Sharp pencil. Sharp pencil is a precise pencil. Okay. Center line through the middle there. You can see that nice and clearly. For me now, I'm going to mark off a 60mm point. 60 mil. Maybe we can come in just a little bit closer on that one, Ben. There we go. So I've got my center line just by joining up the points. I've got a 60. Now, what I've done, I've taken my rule and I've marked off a 90. Again, these dimensions are up to you. But what I've got, that's kind of where one hole's going to be, where I'll put that 60. My next hole is going to be there. My next hole is going to be there. And that makes these all equidistant. So we can see when we come to drill our holes, they're evenly spaced. And as I said, these dimensions, they're up to you, whatever works for you. This is just kind of guidelines. You can freestyle it. I mean, I'm just getting 7 candles on this one. But you could extend this, get it longer so you can get 9 candles on there, 10 candles. It's up to you. So what next? Well, we've got the marks where we need to drill. So we need to drill. So that's where we get over to our pillar drill. So, big old trade pillar drill and a 50mm Forstner bit. It's a continuous rim, kind of regular Forstner bit. There we are, continuous rim, regular Forstner bit. It's not sawtooth, doesn't need to be because I'm going into side grain. It's going to give me a nice clean cut. Now, you may notice that I've got a fence set up and a nice table set up here. The fence I like to work with because it gives me, it's a register. And I've set the center point to my pillar drill 60mm off my fence. Because that was 60mm. 120, 2 sections, 60, 60. So the point, and I just did that by that really. And you can check this by just plunging the point down. Does the point of the pillar drill, put the point of the Forstner bit, hit my center line? And yes, it does. Big Forstner bit. not particularly big bit of wood. If you're not working against a fence, I recommend clamping this. But because I'm working against a fence and I'm not worried about rotation and this spinning because it hits a fence in a positive way, I'm not going to clamp it. I don't feel the need. So we have pillar drill. A Forstner bit of this size wants to run in and around 600 to 700 RPM. Don't go too fast with your pillar drills. What you're going to do is encourage burning, which is blunting, and course could encourage snatching and grabbing as well. So, there's plenty of guides out there. Just put in Forstner bit drilling speed recommendations. Bundles of charts will pop up on Google, I'm sure. I like Forstner bits because what I try and do now is I'm trying to look at the center point to make sure I get it on my mark. And you can kind of see through a Forstner bit, and I can see that center point now. So engaging that point is really easy. But just to be sure, let's have a little dot. Yeah, there we go. We got a little dot and a slow, steady feed into the material. Just sounds great. It's peeling off shavings as good as Jason's planes. Super sharp. And we'll pierce through. We'll come up. I just want to turn him off a second. All right, sometimes on a pillar drill, you get that last little bit. You'll get a little plug. Be sure to take that off and out of the way. Stop the pillar drill first, obviously. Take that out of the way because it could impede your next cut. We've got a lot of waste. We're removing a lot of waste with these holes. So try and avoid this. These are crazy sharp. And catching your back of your hand, you don't want to add any red colouring to your project just yet. Okay. And on to the next. Find your centre point. Love that. Turn him on. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm not sure whether you can pick that up on the microphone. The noise that is making, it sounds sad really, it's delightful. It just sounds like it's cutting really well. Ben's on the cameras there, chuckling away. Little squeaker. All right, there's that little plug. That was that squeak. Just that little plug fouling and getting in the way. Don't need him. All right, we can see where we're at. 2 out of 3. Oh, there's a song about that, wasn't there, Ben? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Who sung that? Took the word... Meatloaf. Took the word out of my mouth. Center point engaged. It must have been while you were kissing me. Right. Sliding on down. There's your little squeak with that little plug pops out. Yep. Okay. There we are. We have... Get that little plug out of the way. That's the squeak, by the way, is when that little plug just gets caught and gets pulled back up. Right. Should we go over to the bench? Come on. Look at that. Can you see what it is yet? What we need to do now. We've got our equidistant holes. We've got our 45s cut. We need to slice him down the middle. And, of course, I'm going to go to the bandsaw for that. I've got my trusty Trade AT2552, my all-time favourite. And we need to set the fence to 60 mil. 120, slide down the middle, 60 mil. But the good thing is we've got a point now. So as long as we line up our point with the blade, the point kind of points to where we got to cut. Let's turn him on, plug him in. Always helps. Oh, stop switch. All right. Sounds fantastic. All right, really nice slow feed through the cut. Just going to get myself a little push stick just in case. I don't want to get my pinkies too close. Here we are. All right. So at this stage, I'm not pushing through with my push stick. It's going to help keep it towards the fence. All right. So engage gently. nice and gently. And then we'll slide on through. Slide on through. Now that's picking up that center point. Absolutely bang on. All right. I'm getting a bit too close, so change my grip. Nice, slow and steady for the last bit. There we are. Our bandsawing is done. Over to the bench then. So from that, we've got two components. Now these two components flip round and do that. Can you see the candle arch? All right. Clean 45 degrees are very important, so they come together sweetly, just like that. That's what we're going to do. So we got a few bits and pieces next, but what I'd like, really, is to put some detail on it. Let's have a look at this one that I've kind of almost finished. Get close. Oh, nice, Ben. Well done. Look at the detail we've got here. I've rounded over this area in a couple of places just to make it look nicer, really. And I've got to do this before I glue it together. So it's a straight route down the line on my router table. Down these lines, but both sides. That's my next job. So we're going to head over to the router table. Once we've been the router table, we're gonna glue it up. We're gonna glue it up, and then while that glue's going off a little bit, we'll look at the feet, the plinths. So over to the router table. Put my two components there. I'm obviously on the UJK router table. What I'm going to do is just show you a little bit of close up of the cutter I'm using. It's all set up and ready to rock, but let's do that so you can see the cutter itself. There we go. You can just about see that. What it is, let me move that so it's a bit clearer. You can see it's what I call a double quadrant. Let me get my pencil. I'll point a few things out. All right. There, you can see that double quadrant there. So it's like a roundover cutter, but there's two of them. And it's a cutter that's become a favourite of mine for putting detail on edging. It's just a little bit nicer, a little bit better than your regular roundover. You can see that. It kind of gives it that raised plinth kind of look. It's almost like you glued one bit to another bit, but it's not. It's all on one cutter. So that's the cutter I'm going to use for a couple of different bits on this, finishing off this project today. So let's pop my router motor unit back in. Boom. I'm setting cutter height. It's pretty much, it's there already. I'm going to slide through these components. Now, you've got to remember which bit you're going to be sliding through. It's not the shaped bit at this stage. We're not shaping or routing this yet. We'll do that later. For this, it's just a straight through on these kind of internal faces. Small component. So I want just some sort of assistance to keep it down to the table. I'll bob on my finger guards, my little pressure guards, and that just stops any lift. Arguably, you could just put your fingers there, but yeah, just a bit too close. So that's going to slide on through. And I'm even going to use my little pushing device just to slide that through again, because it's quite a small piece. All right, so a bit of suction, some power for the router. Okay, so hopefully you can see that shape produced. Flip it over and do the other side. Okay, you see what we've got there? Just eases those edges nicely. We've got to do both components. So if we come back over to the bench, then we'll see what we've got. And we can bring those together, and they look terrific. What we've done is added just this, nice, thank you, Ben, just this little bit of detail in here. And already it's starting to look a little bit prettier, isn't it? Right, bit of glue in. Glue, I'm going to be, my glue of choice today. Oops, there we go, let me do that. Oh, a little bit closer in, mate. Nice. Is the Osmo. Now, to be honest, I didn't know Osmo did glue till recently. They're world renowned for their fantastic finishes. Big Osmo finish fan myself. The hard wax oil, used gallons of it over the years. But I've become a bit of a fan of this glue for small component gluing. I'm not sure it's got the structural strength of some of the Titebond that I like to use, like the Titebond green or the polyurethane. But man, has it got a very quick early tack. And it's great if you want to crack on and glue all these little components together, like this job. It's a 5-minute cure and ready to go sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to use today. I'm just going to apply gently. You know me, I don't like bucket loads of glue everywhere. So that's more than enough. All right, and I'm just spreading from the center outwards. Yep. From the center outwards. There we go. As long as it's all covered. There we go. All right. From that, I'm over to here. Now, this is why a little bit of positive fence to work to is nice, because I can drop that on there, slide these on in, and I'm looking to bring all points and corners together. And that's come together beautifully. I could just kind of leave that there, I guess, but I just want to give it a little bit of assistance. So I've got a very, very simple pressure clamp here, a little spring clamp. And there we go. That's going to hold that where I need it to. It's all flat together because I've assembled it on a flat bench. So all this area here is nice and flat. Little damp cloth just in case I've got any overspill, glue. I generally don't have too much myself because I don't use an excessive amount of glue. And there we are. We are at that point. I can leave that for a minute or two now and focus on the feet. Let me pop that to one side. Remember that 110mm piece I cut off the end? So it's 110 by 120. Again, optional size. I'm just going to slice that down the middle on the 120, which is 60, which is what we've already got our bandsaw set to, remember? So let's just get to it. There is method, you know. There is a lot of thinking about with this. For me, anyway. Right, I'll put my push stick somewhere. Small component. Right, we're just going to glide on through. Nice. Turn them off. Wait till the machine comes to a stop. That'll do. Don't want to dive into that blade for these small bits. 2 pieces. Over to the bench, my friend. All right. So from that, we've got that, which is your 2 feet. Easy. For me, now, 110 by 60. You can do whatever you want with these. You could even make them round, elliptical, or dead round if you wanted to, or knock off the corners, put a bevel on, whatever. I've already got my router table set up for a particular job. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that router table, set up as it was. Now, we've got some end grain to do, haven't we? We've got these little ends, which would be a little bit tricky trying to feed through like that. And I'd worry that they were going to wobble a little bit. So I'm just going to bring in the simplest of little backing boards, just to slide through with, increasing the surface contact area with my fence, making it all a little bit safer and a bit more stable. So you can go straight into it. It's the same cutter, same material thickness. So always go end, side. And that'll ensure you get the beautiful, crisp, clean corner without any breakout. End. Side. Plinth number 1. Number 2 is just as easy. There you go. Dead easy, eh? What we've got, I'm gonna just give this a little bit longer to glue. So, you'll like this. Here's one I prepared earlier. All right, I just wanted to make sure that that glue was gone off. What have I got to do to this now? Let's have a look. Well, I've got the feet, so we can kind of see where we're going with this, and it's starting to look pretty cool. All right, but we got a bit more finishing to do. I've got to square this off because that's where the top candle cut's going to sit. Got to chop that off the top, and I want to just lose some of these corners and soften the edge all round. I'm not going to soften this edge, this corner, because that's going to sit nice and cleanly on the plinth. Step 1 really is back over to the miter saw to just nipple off this top nice and flat and flush. So let's get on it. Over we go. Oh, kiddo, back over to the beautiful Bosch, the big, beautiful Bosch Ben. I'm already at 45. Now the cut we got to do is 45. I'm just going to offer my blade up, and I'm looking for the tip of the blade, this side of the blade, to just pick up the corner of that first kind of curve. Now, I've got a small component, and it's kind of open here a bit, and I guess there's a risk that that could happen. So, I'm going to clamp it. Yes, even I clamp stuff on a miter saw, and I'm incredibly used to using these things, but I'm also incredibly used to my fingers, and I want to keep them. So it's just a case of just, why not, just help yourself out. If you're cutting something that's just a little bit awkward, all right, and it gives you the ability to just come a little bit further away with your hands. All right, nice and gently. Slow it down, lift it off. Let's get rid of the clamp, slide him round. I mean, the clamp can just sit on your machine at all time. You bring it in when you need it. It's not something you've got to dig out the drawer, can't find the clamp. And there we go. You see we've got that flat top now? That's where our top candle cup's going to go. Back over to the bench. I'm running around today, Ben. Okay. So let's have a look what we got. There we go. We can see something that's kind of looking, resembling that candle arch now. Next job, I'm going to just ease these edges here. I'm going to round these edges over because I don't want these sharp corners. I want it just to flow a little bit and look a bit sweeter. So I'll bob that in my bench like so. I'm going to use a kind of Japanese fine rasp, just to lose some of these corners initially. Don't want to go too coarse because I'm worried about breaking out here. Even though I'm going to route this, I don't want to risk splintering off anywhere. So I'm going to come at it kind of at an angle, nice and gently. And it isn't much. I'm just losing these very corners. Doesn't take long. Even though this is a fine rasp, if you push hard, you're still going to remove material quite quickly. Let's drop that in the vise like that. Make sure it's kind of flat and equal. And you can make this as curvy as you like. You can really take this off and blend it in so it kind of flows. But just for time on this one, you don't want to stand or sit there and see me filing away, rasping away for ages. Flip that over. Pop that off. Gently, gently. I could do this with an abrasive if I wanted to, I suppose. If I'm only doing a little bit. But I do like these little Japanese files. They really speed things up for me without shredding stuff. Alright, I've just lost these very corners. What I'm going to do is just introduce a little bit of abrasive now. Just blending. Just a little bit. So I won't be doing too much of this today because I don't know if it makes for a very good video. I don't know, you might enjoy watching people sand. Alright, let's do the other side. And also the corner, if you're presenting this to a router table, these corners sometimes are tricky to follow, but a smooth flowing round is all just a little bit easier. Remember, we've also got a bandsaw cut in this area, although it's pretty clean actually. You might, at this stage, just want to give that a little tickle, just to lose any potential bandsaw marks. Alright, this is, however, something that's probably going to sit on the mantelpiece, so it's important that you spend some time just finishing, making sure it looks tidy. Alright, that'll do for the moment, even though I'm getting bored. What we got to do, we're going back over to the router table, and I just want to round over this edge. Just want to ease these corners now. So I'm going to use the same cutter, but I'm not going to use the double quadrant. I'm going to lower the cutter itself. So I'm just using one of the rounds on this cutter. Let's knock the fence back just out of the way a little. And I'm going to lower that cutter just on my fine adjustment underneath. Just so I've got just one of the rounds. It's going to blend my edges. There we go. Make sure I can get everything that I want. I'll knock that back. I'm going to open the fence aperture a little bit, just so I can get a bit more airflow for my extraction. That's going to help me out. Even though I'm not using the fence technically, I'm not running on the fence, I'm running on the bearing of the cutter. Bearing guided cutter will follow shapes. And this is where I'm going. I'm going to go around there. Right, around there, around there, all the way around, and then flip it over, do the same thing. I do want to bob just a little guard in place, I guess, just in case there's any little wood chips that decide to pop off and come my way. Even got my safety specs on, belt and braces, guards. Come on. Oh, that's what it is. Just dropped out of that. Slide that in there. Beautiful. I'll pop that over. It's transparent. I can see what's going on still, but it just prevents anything coming up and potentially hitting me. There we go. There we go. Now, nice and small component again, so be very aware where your fingers are. Come back to your point, be careful, and then roll around your shape. Gently roll around your shape. End grain. Don't dawdle on the end grain, you'll get burning. Okay, coming down. Round we go. Round we go. Round we go. The last little bit, slow down. Let's just double check. Yeah, that's just lost those sharp corners and made the whole thing just that little bit more attractive. A bit more tactile as well, smooth to the touch. Okay, roll on round. Okay, around the other side. Where my hands are. Last little bit. Slow down. Machine off straight away. And what we've got, you might not pick it up on camera too much, but everything's kind of rounded and now smooth. And as said, if you wanted to round these off even more, so the whole shape kind of flows a little bit more, just spend more time on the fining and the sanding in this area. But there we are. We can see where the candle cups are going to sit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a 7er. Right, back over to the bench, my friend Ben. Thank you, sir. So let's do that. Let's do that. You can kind of see from that where we're at. Starting to look like a candle arch. What I want to do now is glue the base of my arch to my feet or my plinths. So I'm going to glue that in. Again, I'm going to use my trusty old Osmo, because it goes off quick, not too much. A bit more than that maybe, Craig. Not too much. There we go. Spread them out. This is actually going to be screwed through as well. So I'm going to use slightly longer screws for the bottom candle cups, which are going to go all the way through into the base as well and give me some extra stability on that base. So 1, 2. For now, I'm going to center it by eye, and then I'll get the rule out and just give it a little tickle. You might not want it dead center, but you might. I don't think that's too bad first off. So let me just have a little measure all round. Yeah. 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 Yep. There you go. Oops. No. Be careful not to knock it. When you're just thinking that you got everything, oh, that went down sweetly, then you knock it. Okay. Well, that looks about 20 mil all round to me, so I'm happy with that. I'm just going to give it a little bit of pressure. All right. Remember, this is 5-minute stuff we're talking, so it goes off really quickly. The initial tack is great. All right. So what I'm going to do in this, well, that's just going off very, very carefully. I'm going to mark up where I want my candle cups. We want them in the middle. Can we come in just a bit closer, my friend? Am I going to be? Oh, yeah. We want them in the middle. And we want them at the bottom of each quadrant. Now, I can tend to do this by eye. I just stand back. I know where my middle is. The lowest point in the quadrant is there. One there. Lowest point in the quadrant is there. Oops. Shakes. There we go. Bit easier on the top because we've got a middle mark through there. So that's nice because that's where the two pieces come together. So that's there. Okay. I'm not going to mark any for now. I think what I'll do, I'm just going to drill a small pilot, trying to keep everything in place. Remember this glue, the initial tack is really good. Okay. One there. We'll bob one in there as well while we're here. And we bring in our first candle cups. Let's bring them all into shot, shall I? There we are. So we sell these brass candle cups. I think there's a couple of different designs. Some are chrome, some are brass. That may even be a kind of a different style of brass ones as well. One are brass coated, one are brass. But yeah, we sell them in sets of 6, albeit I've made 7 on this, I know, but it works. Small screws, dropping that on through. Now, very important at this stage, you could use something really old school like a hand screwdriver. They do still exist. But I'm going to make sure on my Bosch drill that I use the torque settings. All right, wind it on down so it's not, don't just leave it on drill setting and risk dragging that screw all the way through and damaging. Let that drill do the work for you. So start gently. Start, you know, less than 5 almost. You've got your pilot hole. Hold your candle cup. Downward pressure. Slow and steady. You can hear that torque setting on your driver doing what it's supposed to do. All right, let's get the second one in. And because that screw has penetrated all the way through the arch into the base, it's given me some stability now. I can crack on with the rest of the project without having to wait for the glue to completely dry. Slow and steady. A little bit more on the torque setting. There we are. That one as well. Okay, now that is fixed in place now. All right, I've got a little bit of overspiller glue, which I'm going to clean off now. Easier, I find, if you get any, to clean it off while it's wet, and clean it off. We'll try and chisel it off, sand it off afterwards. There's none there. You can see I've not got a lot of overspill. As I said, keep saying, I don't like a lot of glue. Right, in the middle, lowest point is there. Lowest point is there. Done that one in the top there. In the middle, lowest point is there. Lowest point is there. And just have that move for some strange reason. Maybe I should drive that. Have I picked up the right screws? Yes, I have. It's a bit better. Now I can change back to my drill setting, and very carefully, trying to keep the drill as vertical as you can. Just put a little pilot in. All round. One more. Are we glued in there? Yeah, that's all good. Make sure we clear the debris. So, all right, hopefully you can see those holes ready to receive our final candle cups. Now, I'm using slightly shorter screws here because I haven't got to screw through the arch into the foot to give it some stability. So, again, changing me Bosch over. Very light torque setting, sub 5 on the scale. Candle cup in place. Screwdriver, gently. Bit more. So it's always good to start light on the torque setting, just in case. You're better than that than the other way, that everything's just a bit fierce, a bit aggressive. Splits the wood or pops through the other side. A bit fiddly getting these screws in the cups with my sausage fingers. Okay, nearly there. And as I said, you probably finish this before you screw your candle cups in, to be honest. It's up to you. But on the first one that you saw, the kind of final finished one, the one with the red candles I've done, that's just a couple of drops of regular finishing oil, nothing too special. few cheap and cheerful candles from Asda. Other supermarkets do apply. Ooh. Most difficult part of the project is... There we go. One more in. Final screw. And there we are. So there we have it. Amazingly festive. Okay. So let's come over to the router table camera, Ben, just for a second, and we'll pop these on. All right, so that's a kind of finished one. Any wood will do, entirely up to you. The thickness of the wood, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that, it's about 20 millimeters thick. The whole wood is about 20 mil thick. But aren't they nice looking objects? And how quick and easy, really. From one piece of material, 45s on either end, gives you a centre. Find that centre. Drill 3 equidistant holes. Slice that down the middle. The rest is easy, eh? Well, hopefully you found that useful. I've got mildly festive, I must say. I think the Christmas songs are going on this afternoon. Ding Dong Merrily on high. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. And don't forget to join in next week. Something subtly different next week. We're going to a different time of 7 p.m. 1 week only. Special Black Friday week. Join us at 7. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Extra for you. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.